Do you want a self-hosted Dropbox replacement that's fast, reliable, and finishes syncing before you go to bed? Let me show you Seafile. Seafile is an open source, self-hosted file sync and share platform that uses a block level sync engine that only transfers the parts of a file that actually changed, which is why it's one of the fastest file sync tools out there. I'm your host, Evan. Let's look at Seafile. Before I deploy Seafile, I'm going to want to create a dataset for all of its data to live on in TrueNAS. In the left side, in my datasets tab, I'm going to create a new dataset in my 10 configs dataset for Seafile. In the top right, click Add Dataset. As a name, I'm going to call it Seafile, and I'm going to save it here. Click Seafile, and then edit its permissions, and give the group all permissions and remove permissions from other. Change the group to Apps, and then click the Apply Group checkbox and click Save. We are going to be deploying Seafile through Dockge. In case you've never used Dockge before, I've made a video on what this is and how to use it. Go ahead and check it out. I've made a link in the video description below. In the top left, I'm going to click the plus compose button and give my stack a name. I'm going to call it Seafile. On the right, I'm going to remove all this placeholder information. Now jump over to the wiki. On the wiki in the top search bar, you can search for Seafile. I've already done that to save us some time. In section 1, deploy Seafile, we're actually going to start with section 1.3. For the Docker Compose section, click the copy button in the top right, and then jump back to Dockge. Paste the Docker Compose file. The only thing you want to check out in here is your ports and your volume mounts. I made everything at mount 10 config Seafile, but if any one of those things are different for you, you need to change the volume mounts in a couple places. Also, my port 8000 is open. If yours is not, go ahead and change 8000 from the left side. Now let's jump back to the wiki. Jump up to section 1.2, which is the env file. In the top right, click copy and go back to Dockge. Scroll down until you get to the .env section and remove this placeholder data and then paste in what we just copied. We're going to need to make some changes here. The Seafile server hostname is very important. You need to get this right the first time. If you want to put this behind a reverse proxy, I've made some videos on things like Netbird reverse proxy, Nginx proxy manager, and Cloudflare tunnels. Any of those would work. I'm going to link them in the video description below. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to put this behind a reverse proxy. I'm just going to put it in my regular Homelab. So I'm going to remove the HTTPS and just leave it as HTTP, and then set the server hostname to the address of my TrueNAS server and the port that it's running on. My time zone is correct. Now jump back to the wiki. Jump up to section 1.1. We need to generate a JWT private key by copying this command and then going back to TrueNAS. In system, we're going to click shell, and then we're going to paste that command and copy the output. Jump back to Dockge. Where it says a JWT private key, go ahead and remove this placeholder and paste our output. The last thing you need to do is set a password. I'm going to change this to something just for testing, but you're going to set it to something very strong. And we are finally done. Let's scroll all the way to the top and click deploy. Once it is up and running, click the 8000 pill in the Seafile container to jump into the web UI. We use the login name admin@example.com and the password that you set in the environment variable to log in. Now I'm logged into Seafile. I'm going to close this little window here and change this to dark mode. The first thing we're going to want to do is jump up to the top right where the picture of the person is and click it, and then click settings, and then go ahead and change your password. You could also set a password for web dev access, and I'd recommend you do so, and make sure those are good, strong passwords. Click the person icon again, and then jump down to system admin, and this is when we can do all the really cool things like making new libraries if we want, setting up wikis, looking at our users. We can import users and add new users. We can add new groups here, look at our notifications, and keep an eye on any links we've made. Back in the Seafile dashboard, we can go ahead and check out the library that is automatically created for us at startup. In here, we can see our folder's no contents, and of course, we can make any kind of thing we want, like a Word doc. And after creating my test.docx, I can go ahead and download if I want. I'm just going to trash it for right now, so I can show you that it's in the trash, which it does occasionally have to be cleaned. It won't clean itself. One of the cool things about Seafile is it keeps versioning, so I can look back at my history and see a version of all the files I've ever had. This way, if I made some changes that I didn't want, I can roll back to an earlier version. When I expand the more option, I can rename things, transfer them, I can look at my share admin, or set up an API token. Let's create a new file for Markdown, and then submit that, and open my Markdown file. And here I am, and I'm sorry about the flashbang. For some reason, with Seafile, some of this is dark mode and some of this is light mode. I have the option here of changing all these things. I'm just going to leave it like it is and then close this window. And I'm going to mark it as a favorite so I can show you that it gets automatically moved to my favorites. The activity shows me everything that I've just done in the last few minutes during this demonstration. And I can do something even cooler than this. I can add a wiki, and I'll click submit here after naming it wiki. When I open my wiki, I get this interesting menu that allows me to create new pages. And after I've made my new page, I can go ahead and use all these new options here to create a link for it, modify it, add more pages, duplicate it, and import. Closing this tab and going back, I can now go back to my files in my library. I'm going to click my three dots here, and I'm going to share this. And I'm going to generate a new share link. I'm going to leave password protection off, and I'm not going to expire it. And I'll allow anyone with the link to view it. So I'm just going to click generate, and here's my link. It's cool because I also get the option to do a little QR code here, so I can download that and copy it and send it to somebody. But I'm going to go ahead and just copy this link, and then open up a new tab and paste my link. And here's my markdown file. Seafile also has some really cool file syncing properties. While I can manage things through the web UI here, what would be really cool is if I can just mount this directly to my Windows client and use it like Dropbox, and I can. On the Help and Resources section, you can click Clients, and it says you can download the Seafile desktop client for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So I'm going to go to the official download page, and I want to run the client for Windows, and I'm just going to click the 9.0.18, which is the latest version at the time of this recording. And when I click that, it's downloading my MSI. My download is completed, and I'm just going to click it to open the file, and I'm going to click OK to bypass the warning. And here's my install wizard. I'm going to click Next, and Install. All right, my installation is completed. I'm just going to click Finish here. Now I get this new pop-up asking me for my Seafile folder, and I'm just going to leave it right there. I'm going to click Next. Now it's asking me about my server name. So in this case, I'm just going to point it at my TrueNAS server, my email and username. I'm going to leave automatic login set, and I'm going to change this to something that's a little bit more user-friendly. Click Login, and this is what I'm greeted with. I get two pop-ups. The first is for the Seafile little panel here on the right, and then download a default library. I'm just going to skip downloading the default one for now. And here is my library. And I can see the shared with me, shared groups, and sync libraries. And I can select folders to drop and sync. So this is really convenient. For example, if I select a folder here, let me go ahead and look at my repeat folder, which is what I use for all the repeat content for my YouTube videos. I'm going to select this folder. And after I select that folder, I get a little pop-up here, and it asks me where the path is. It asks me the name. I'm not going to encrypt it, because if I do encrypt it, I lose the ability to search for it. And I'm not going to use a password, and I'll just click OK. And now we see I get this nice little green check that says my repeat folder is synchronized. So now by default, anything I put in the repeat folder will be automatically synced. Going back to the Seafile desktop, I can now see my repeat folder is here. And when I click it, here are all the repeat items I use for creating YouTube videos. This is one of two ways to use the sync functionality on Seafile. Going back to the wiki, we can see there's a couple other different ways. When I scroll all the way down, there's the Seafile Drive client and the Seafile Sync client. We use the sync client, and it uses the traditional two-way sync like Dropbox, which keeps a local copy. But if you have something like a laptop that has very limited hard drive space, you can use the Seafile Drive client, which mounts the library as a virtual drive letter. This downloads things on demand. Definitely jump down to section 4 in the wiki, features worth exploring. There's a bunch of other things here that Seafile does. Did you know I'm available for hire? If you would like a free quote, follow the Hire Me link in the video description below to book time with me one-on-one. I am going to tell you that there is a community edition and a professional edition of Seafile. What I just showed you is the community edition. That includes the file sync, the libraries, the encrypted libraries, sharing, the built-in wiki, the collaborative editor, LDAP WebDAV, and the desktop and mobile clients like I've showed in this video. The professional edition adds some things like S3 and Ceph with OpenStack, Swift storage backends, multiple storage tiers, an online garbage collection, SAML SSO, audit logs, full text search, advanced per role permissions, and file locking. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Pro is actually free for up to 3 users. So if you're the only one using Seafile, you can get the Pro version for free forever. If you have more than 3 users, it's $4 per user per month after that. For a personal or small Homelab setup, the community edition is totally fine. If you were hoping to use something like S3 as a backend, that's a paywalled feature if you have more than 4 users. Looking at the project health of Seafile, it's developed by Seafile Limited in Beijing. Do with that what you will. It's been around since about 2012. It's not new, and it's not a flash-in-the-pan project. The main repo on GitHub has 14,300 stars and 1,600 forks. Version 13 was officially released on January 5th, 2026, so what you're seeing in the video is the latest major version. The release schedule is slow and deliberate. You get a major version roughly once a year with incremental bug fixes in between. It's a consistent, predictable activity for a mature project. It's not the kind of repo where you're seeing 40 commits a day, but you also don't have to worry about it disappearing next month. Comparing this to something like Nextcloud, I think it depends entirely on what you want out of a self-hosted file platform. Nextcloud is basically a Swiss Army knife. It does like a million things because it has a huge apps catalog, but the problem with that is that apps catalog and the fact that it does everything makes it very resource heavy and makes it feel kind of slow. The sync engine also doesn't hold a candle to the way Seafile does things. Seafile is basically the opposite philosophy, and it does one thing really, really well, which is file sync and share. The sync is faster, the clients are more reliable, and the server is lighter. The trade-off is you don't get like calendars, contacts, or the entire ecosystem of apps that Nextcloud has. There's one thing worth calling out, and that Nextcloud has an external storage feature that lets you mount an existing SMB share, S3 bucket, Google Drive, or even your local TrueNAS files into the UI as is. Seafile does not do this. It stores files as content address blocks, kind of like Git, so your local disk storage isn't browsable outside of Seafile. I'd also mention Syncthing here briefly. Syncthing is peer-to-peer without a central server, and it has no web UI for browsing files. It's a completely different model. If you want a central server with a web UI, Seafile or Nextcloud would probably work for you. But if you want peer-to-peer syncing between devices with no central authority, you probably want to lean more towards Syncthing. Seafile is probably the best pure file sync experience in the self-hosted world. If sync speed and reliability are your top priorities, this is what I'd go for. The block level sync really is that much faster than everything else, and the client has years of polish behind it. The only thing I wish was easier was deploying the Pro Edition so I can get the S3 backend without having to sign up for anything. That said, if you just want a solid self-hosted Dropbox alternative on local ZFS storage, the Community Edition is completely adequate, and honestly, it's really nice. Seafile does not want to be Nextcloud or really anything else. If you need calendars and contacts and Office and chat, you're either running Seafile alongside something else or you're picking Nextcloud. So just know what you're signing up for before you get going. Are you currently using Seafile, Nextcloud, or something else for your self-hosted file storage? Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious what the split looks like in the Homelab community right now. If you found this helpful, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video we release. If you want to see content YouTube won't let us show you, head over to Patreon. There's a link in the video description below. Thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, stay curious.